So, we all know the story of the crucifixion, right? But the real story, well, it isn't just what happened, it's why. And that's what we're diving into today. We're going to peel back the layers on this massive historical event to really get at how a calculated human plan slammed right into a divine one.
I mean, this is the central puzzle, isn't it? Think about it. Jesus was incredibly popular. He was this teacher, this healer, drawing huge crowds. So why on earth would the most powerful religious leaders of the time conspire to have him killed? The answer, as you might guess, isn't simple. And it really reveals a collision of two completely different worlds.
So our whole analysis here is grounded in sources that really dig into this complex mix of politics, power, and prophecy that all led to the cross. We're going to break down the logic, the thinking of the people who wanted him executed, and put it right up against the purpose of the man they condemned.
All right, so first up, let's try and get inside the heads of the religious authorities. And you gotta understand, this wasn't some snap judgment or a chaotic mob scene. Nope, this was a cold, calculated move, and it was born out of fear.
This is so crucial to get. This was an official verdict. We're talking about the Sanhedrin, the highest court of the Jewish people. They sat down, they deliberated, and they made a strategic choice. And in their minds, they truly believed they were doing what they had to do to protect their people and their entire way of life.
And their fears weren't just one thing. They were coming from all sides, all rooted in the harsh reality of living under Roman occupation. See, to them, Jesus wasn't just some spiritual teacher. He was a destabilizing force. He was challenging their authority. He was gathering this massive following. And to the Romans looking on, his movement looked an awful lot like the start of a rebellion. And everyone knew how Rome dealt with rebellions. They would crush them, brutally, and without a second thought. So at the end of the day, their number one goal was just survival.
And this quote from the high priest Caiaphas, wow, it just captures their mindset perfectly. It's pure, cold, political math. He's basically saying, look, it's better for us to sacrifice this one guy, no matter how popular he is, than to risk having the entire nation destroyed by the Romans. It was a brutal, but, in his mind, necessary calculation. Okay, so you have the authorities playing this high-stakes game of political chess. But here's the thing. Jesus wasn't even playing on the same board. He was operating from a completely different rulebook, with a totally different goal in mind. And that contrast, that's where things get really interesting. See, from a theological point of view, Jesus wasn't just a victim caught in a political trap. He was an active participant in a divine mission. His death wasn't some tragic accident that ended his movement. No, it was the whole point. It was meant to be a sacrifice for the atonement of sins, a way to spiritually bring humanity and God back together. So let's break that down into three key parts. First, this was a willing sacrifice. He wasn't trapped, he knew what was coming and was resolved. Second, the whole purpose was atonement, a deeply spiritual idea that was worlds away from the political anxieties of the religious leaders. And third, this was seen as the fulfillment of ancient prophecies, like the final chapter in a story that had been told for centuries. So you've got these two completely separate plans, right? And they are just barreling towards each other on a collision course. One plan is all about holding on to earthly power. The other is about offering eternal salvation. There was just no way they weren't going to crash. I mean, look at the difference here. It's just so stark. You've got the authorities totally focused on the here and now. Power, politics, keeping things as they are. Then you have Jesus' plan, which is focused on the eternal, divine purpose, salvation, a completely new spiritual reality. It's like they were speaking two totally different languages. They were never going to understand each other. And this, as our source material really points out, is the absolute heart of the matter. It's a clash between a desperate plan for political survival in a brutal world and a divine plan for spiritual redemption for everyone. Those two things, they just could not exist in the same space at the same time. So what happens when these two agendas collide? Well, it doesn't just lead to an execution. It creates one of the biggest turning points in all of human history. So if there's one key takeaway, it's this. The crucifixion wasn't an accident. It was the logical, completely unavoidable outcome when a plan for earthly control smashed into a plan for divine sacrifice. You had one side trying to eliminate a threat, and the other side intending to become a sacrifice. There was only one way that could end. And here's the ultimate irony in all of this. In a way, the authorities actually succeeded. They got what they wanted.
They eliminated the immediate threat, but, and this is the incredible part, in doing so, they unknowingly played a role in the very divine plan they couldn't even begin to understand. They ended up helping fulfill the very mission they were trying to stamp out. Which leaves us with this huge question, right? Was the crucifixion a tragic but necessary political move, or was it the unfolding of a preordained destiny? And what we've seen here is that the answer isn't either or. The answer is both. And it's that paradox, that incredible intersection of human fear and divine purpose that has echoed through history and continues to shape the world we live in today.